And good evening. Welcome to Dave's Tacklebox. It is Sunday, the 18th of January 2015. I just realised you can see my mic stand there. I haven't moved anything and everything's in a different place. I've been doing trying to clear out my room, my studio, but I haven't got as far as I would have liked. But anyway, on tonight's show, there was some news during the week about Super T. Do you remember Super T? Manufacturer of some really top-notch mechanical mods, and they're not going to be making them anymore. So I want to talk a little bit about them, a little bit about the reasons why they may be getting out of the e-cig business. I've got some news of a government consultation which has actually been running since just before Christmas, but I only became aware of it today. So I want to share the details of that with you. We're going to look at some comments from the CEO of GlaxoSmithKline, and he's just some comments he made during the week about the impact of electronic cigarettes on his NRT business. We're going to be looking at a couple of other bits and bobs as well from around the world. It's truly international tonight. A couple of other little stories that have sort of come to my attention during the week. But before we do anything else, we shall start, as ever, with the titles. See you in a minute. Before we get cracking with everything tonight, I just want a little shout out, really, just a little sort of message of support for Paula Wade from Vapor World. Now, Vapor World, and specifically Paula, have been a fantastic supporter of Vapor Trails TV since the day we started, basically. She's been absolutely brilliant. She's a lovely person. If you've ever bumped into her at a vape meet or vape fest or anything like that. And somebody posted on the VTTV Facebook page earlier today that apparently she's had her premises done over. She's been burgled, and not content with just stealing a bunch of her stock. Apparently they've trashed her computers and fouled up all her records and everything. So that must have left her in a right mess by the sounds of things. I have no words to describe people who do that kind of thing, and it's sad that it often seems to happen to some of the nicest people that you come across. So Paula, we're all thinking of you. I hope everything's fixable and you're back and sorted out before long. And to the people that did it, well, I probably shouldn't say it really, but let's hope you get what's coming to you. Somebody said scum, but I couldn't possibly comment on that. So all the best, Paula. I hope you manage to get it all sorted out. Anyway, let's get on with things. The first thing I want to look at tonight is the UK government are doing a consultation, and I must admit, this has been around. I think it said since the 18th of December or something. I'll get it up on screen. And then everybody will be able to see it. Here we go. So I'm on gov.gov.uk, a consultations page, and I will drop a link into chat fairly shortly. Matt said he'd take care of that, and we'll make sure it's embedded in the YouTube page somehow at the end of the show, if you want to have a look at this. It says here that this consultation, which is entitled "Nicotine Inhaling Products Introducing a Minimum Age of Sale," was first published on the 17th of December. So, but like I say, I hadn't heard about it, and I see it was updated on the 12th of January, it says. So maybe it wasn't that well known until then or something. But we've got it now. The consultation closes on the 28th of January, so although I've only seen it quite late today and haven't had a chance to go through everything, I thought I'll mention it in case anybody wants to give an opinion on this. You've got until 1:45 on the 28th of Jan, which is a week on Thursday, maybe? I could probably check that. A week on Wednesday. So you've got until 1:45 a week on Wednesday. I'll just run you through what it's all about, and then we'll leave you with a link, because you can do it online, or you can send them an email with any comments you've got, but it's all covered in here. The consultation document itself, which as you can see I've been leafing through. I won't read it all, because as you can see there's a fair bit of it. But it's they're talking about proposed regulations, and they're doing a consultation. This is the Welsh Government. This is not the document that I thought it was. Fantastic. If you want to take part in this, I won't read it all out because there's loads of it, and I think we've covered a little bit of it already on VTTV. You can go to, because this is headed the Welsh Government, and now I'm actually wondering now whether I've misread this and this is actually for the whole of the UK. I believe that this is for the whole of the UK, but I'm going to check this out and come back to it in a second, I think. Yeah, it is. It's for Public Health England. I'll quote it in here. Give it a read, guys. If you've got an opinion on this, then you want to get down towards the end. All the details are there, and it gives you some details on how to get involved in the consultation. You've got until the 28th of January to get your thoughts in. This isn't actually a clickable link, but I figured out earlier that if I highlight it and do that, it'll open the link. And there's an online survey for the Department of Health here. You put in your email address, and that's as far as I've got with it so far. So it does say Department of Health Wales on the top, but the rest of it seems to suggest, and this is what's just thrown me, and I do apologise for this, the rest of it does seem to suggest that it's for the UK, not just the Welsh Government. Certainly it's the UK Government. So whether they've just adopted the paper from the Department from the Welsh Government, I don't know, but my understanding is that it is for the UK, but I'm going to check on that and come back to you on it. So yeah, I can see there that Dave Dawn is saying it is Department of Health UK. I thought it was. It just confused me with the Welsh Government logo on there. So there you go. There's nothing like sort of good research, is there? So this was sort of bowled to me quite late today, and I said, oh yeah, I'll pick that up. And there you go. Look, the age of sale of regulations proposed in this consultation will apply to England and Wales, subject to the necessary consent being provided by Welsh ministers. So this is an England and Wales document. I guess Scotland have their own freedom on this one. So if you want to do that, we'll get the link to the survey into chat. I think that'll probably come during the first ad break or something. But yeah, get along, have a read of it. If you've got an opinion, let them know. Here's your chance, and you've got a week and a few days left to do it if that's what you want to do. This is the proposed regulation. The minimum age of sale of 18 years will apply to nicotine inhaling products. And you know, this definition covers all e-cigarette devices, including disposable and rechargeable types, with their refills, such as pre-filled refill cartridges and liquids. Within the proposed regulations, a nicotine inhaling device covers any device which is intended to enable nicotine to be inhaled through a mouthpiece. So we've got a bit of that dodgy TPD definition there. It would not matter whether the device looks like a conventional cigarette or takes a different form if a device meets the definition proposed. The regulations cover all nicotine inhaling products, regardless of how they're powered. Dual-use refillable devices, which might alternatively be filled with either nicotine or non-nicotine liquid, would also be subject to the age of sale requirements. Excuse me. So that's something that people have asked, you know, how will they deal with nicotine-free stuff? Well, they're saying there's no difference. Even if you intend to use this, you know, does that affect shisha pens and stuff like that? My interpretation is yes, it does. Some e-cigarettes do not look like conventional tobacco cigarettes and contain a reservoir or tank which is designed to be filled with propylene glycol liquid. These liquids may be sold separately and may or may not contain nicotine. Although at the point of sale, some devices may not contain nicotine. They would be covered by the proposed regulations if they are intended to enable nicotine to be inhaled through a mouthpiece. So if you've got an opinion on the definition, or on the whole concept and principle of disallowing sales to under 18-year-olds, use the link that we're going to give you and have your say. There's a bunch of information there that you can read in various different languages. I'm just looking now because I just want to see if it's in Welsh. Yeah, it is. Right, so excuse me, I need to take a drink there. Hang on. That's better. Something tickled me throat there. Yeah, so if you've got an opinion on that, get along to the link that we're going to post into chat and into YouTube and have your say. Don't not have your say and then complain that nobody asked, because they asked. Whether they'll take any notice is a whole different matter. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our first ad break, which is a little bit earlier than normal, to give me plenty of time to go at my next subject, which is the super tea thing, which, you know, I think it's worthy of comment and an event that needs to be marked. So we'll take our first ad break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. We'll kick on.
Joytech UK are proud sponsors of vapetrails.tv.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Vapers, do you love discovering new e-liquids? Tell Dripper the types of flavours you like and they'll send you 5 gourmet juices each month. Experience new and exclusive flavours, all with a money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe. Dripper.co.uk.
RY4 Radio.
And welcome back. Now, I started vaping in the autumn of 2010, and I did the usual thing that everybody does, or everybody did then. Started with a little cigar-like thing, joined a forum, somebody said try an ego, so I got myself a ego type thing. There was a whole lot less choice in those days, you know. I think there was the grand total of 3 different places that were recommended to buy an ego from. Now, these days there's dozens. And very quickly, after a couple of weeks, I'd sort of heard about these mods, and there were actually very few mods on the market then as well. So, you know, this is, 4.5 years ago, I guess. But one of the names of mods that was out there, one of the names that cropped up a few times was Super T. And Super T, I have a few of their mods, and I bought another one last week. I thought I would quick before they all disappear. They announced earlier this week, on the 12th, in fact it was, that they are going out of business. And I thought, wow, that's terrible. I'll show you the message they put up on their website, and I'll just explain that Super T were not originally an e-cig business at all. It's a guy who does manufacturing steel fittings and parts for the automotive industry. So, you know, they're a precision workshop. I'll read the message to you. It says, technically, the heading is going out of business, Super T worldwide store-wide sale. Technically not going out of business, just discontinuing the manufacturing of e-cig products. Unfortunately, we've just found with the current climate and influx of Chinese clones and the high cost of US manufacturing, it just isn't viable anymore. The products you see on the site are currently up to 50 blah blah blah, we're not interested in that bit. He says if you wanted to grab a piece of e-cig history, so to speak, now is your chance. I can't tell you how honoured we are to have been part of the e-cig history and part of the ECF community. We've truly met some great people on here that we're proud to call our friends. They've obviously cut and pasted this message, used it for ECF and then pasted it onto their website. Super T Manufacturing Inc. was founded in early 2009 to provide quality alternatives to the cheap Chinese products out at the time, and most importantly, keep my mum off cigarettes. I must say mission accomplished, as she's still smoke-free over 5 years later. Congrats, Mom. Since we'll still be in business in another industry, we'll still honour the warranty too. He then goes on to say that, you know, that about the selling off the stock that they've got, and obviously he's trying to plug his 50% off sale, which is all fair enough. He mentions there specifically that it's due to Chinese clones. He says the current climate, the influx of Chinese clones and the high cost of US manufacturing. And I just wanted to look at that because, right, our cards on the table. I think it's a shame that Super T are going to disappear. It's not everybody's cup of tea, a Super T mod. I've got a few in front of me, and it occurred to me that what we're seeing here might be history repeating itself, and maybe the pattern of many industries. And let me just get this up on screen. I've got a few Super T mods here, and we're going to have a little look at them because I think they're marvellous things. I really do. These are the three that I've got, and we've got the Workhorse, the original Precise, and this thing called the Simplicity, which is just a little one. Well, the other thing I've got in front of me are every e-cig rebuilder's favourite article, and those are multi-tools. Now, I saw some similarities, I think, and I'm speculating an awful lot here. There's an awful lot of speculation here. I've not spoken to anybody at Super T about what's going on. I'm just taking the comment on the website there. He's talking about the high cost of US manufacturing, the influx of Chinese clones, and in general the current climate. But you've got to bear in mind that these things, that this is a kind of the Workhorse. I bought this during the week from Cloud9 Vaping, which are the UK sole seller, I think, of Super T, and have been for some time. I forgot, I've also got some drip tips, some Super T drip tips as well, but I should have dug those out. I think I paid, it was about 70 and a few quid to get it to my door. And this is the cheapest e-cig mod that Super T have ever done. This is very much their budget sort of e-cig. But if you look at the modern equivalent of the Precise, the Precise Plus or the ELA and stuff like that, you can spend hundreds on these things. They do a rebuildable atomizer as well, but it only works with the Precise Plus, I think it is, and I don't have one of those. And that's kind of the point, really. If you set out to get yourself a Precise Plus and their rebuildable atomizer, you're going to blow 200 quid before you've got anything that'll actually you can start vaping on. So I mean, this is the like high end kit. Okay, and I'm going to look at just how good some of that stuff is at the moment, and let you decide, because I don't think there's a lot of people say it's overpriced and it's too much and hard to justify. Some people think it's good value for money, and I'm going to show you what I think are the strong points out of these and leave you to draw your own conclusion. But some people might know this, I might have mentioned it once or twice. Just going back to the multi-tools, and I've moved those mods out of the way now. These multi-tools here. Oh look, there's a Workhorse encroaching. There we go. I collect these things, or I used to collect them. I've actually, over the last couple of years, since I started vaping, I've actually sort of sold a few off, mostly to buy e-cig mods and stuff like that. But I've still got rather a lot left. And I made this little sort of very short video earlier, which has got no sound, so I'm going to blabber over the top of it. But just to give you an idea, this is what I've got left of my multi-tool collection. And, I love this. It seems like an odd thing to collect. I can't believe I'm saying that to a bunch of vapors, with their e-cig collections or whatever. But the thing that drew me to multi-tools, and to a lesser extent knives, as you can see from what you're going through there, these are all multi-tools, and a lot of them are Leatherman multi-tools. They're not exclusively, but everything you've seen so far is Leatherman on that VT. But the thing that drew me to these is this concept of quality. There you go. There's some Buck and Gerber and all sorts of stuff in that drawer. There's mostly Gerber, I think, looking at it. And there's knives, and there's other drawers as well with Swiss Army knives and Swiss, Victorinox multi-tools and all the rest of it. And this is me just playing with one. The reason that these are nice things to have, I think the mentality of somebody who collects something like this is very like somebody who collects e-cig mods. Oh, that looks very like the shot I was just showing you. There's something about looking at the quality of the manufacturing. Look, they even make collector's editions and stuff like that. Look, there's a 20th anniversary one from Leatherman there. And when I hold like this is probably my favourite multi-tool. I take this pretty much everywhere I go. It feels solid and substantial. Let's get it on the close-up camera. Right, it's called a Leatherman Charge. They actually don't make this model anymore, but I just love it. It's got just about everything you could ever want. Whether it's just for opening vape mail, helping to rebuild a coil. It's got bit drivers that you can put hex bits in, pliers for cutting your canthal and holding it in the blowtorch. It's got scissors for cutting mesh if you're doing a Jenny and what have you. But there's something exceptionally satisfying about holding a multi-tool that is where all the parts on it move properly. Okay, it's not like an e-cig. It doesn't have threads. Okay, but it has the equivalent. It has all these sort of pivot joins, and you can hear the blade locks snapping very satisfyingly, and it locks up solid. And if you're cutting something with this blade, then it's not going to fail on you when you cut your finger off or anything like that. And I have to say that when you hold a multi-tool like that, it's a very, very similar kind of appreciation, if you like, as I do for a Golden Greek or a Super T mod. You can appreciate the craftsmanship and the design, even if the design isn't particularly innovative by modern standards. You can appreciate the quality of how it's made. I used to, before I started vaping, subscribe to a couple of multi-tool forums. I ran a blog and that kind of thing. And, would you believe, that in these worlds, people would argue about which was the best multi-tool. People would argue about whether one-handed opening was absolutely necessary or just a gimmick. Think temperature control, variable voltage. There would be people had allegiances to certain brands and sometimes irrational hatred of other brands. Everybody agreed that nothing that was made in China was anywhere near as good as anything that was made in the West. And in the West, primarily, when it comes to multi-tools, you're looking at the Swiss with the Victorinox tools and Wenger, which are the same company now, and Leatherman and Gerber and people like that. In the US, some German manufacturers and stuff like that, but exactly the same arguments about clones, because these things got cloned, and sometimes they would be, I remember sort of early on the clones, if you go back sort of 10 years, a cloned Leatherman multi-tool, you'd be frightened to use it. The damn thing was going to snap, let you down, cut your finger off, snap and blind you or something like that. But steadily, two things happened. One is the quality of the clones got better, and like I say, I'm a bit out of the loop now, but I think Leatherman are still building everything in the US, but some of their sort of higher quality, better known, well-known competitors in the US, companies like Gerber, have started outsourcing, and things are being made in China under the Gerber name. And so the quality has started to improve coming from China, and of course the Chinese have started with their own innovations. Okay, so you end up with people having a choice between all of a sudden a perfectly functional multi-tool from China, right? It probably have some little gadgets and gizmos on it that would appeal to people, and it's perfectly safe at a fraction of cost. Or you can pay for this perceived quality by buying something that was manufactured in the West. But in the case of Super T, they probably don't have the market and the volumes to make it worthwhile striking up a relationship with a Chinese factory to manufacture this quality because of the quantities that they'll sell. Because at the end of the day, it's a very competitive market. These American tool and knife manufacturers do have the volumes So I think it's like I haven't spoken to anybody at Super T, but it seems to me that rather than I've never actually seen a Super T clone, although somebody did say they had seen one. I've never seen a Super T clone myself personally, but certainly alternative e-cigs from China and innovation from China, you can see why that they're struggling to command the price that they used to, and why they're not finding it economical to keep on producing Super T mods. But I mean, so having just sort of said sort of outlined what we used to talk about in the multi-tool forums, I'm just going to look at the Super T mods now and show you what I think puts them into the same category as a Victorinox multi-tool or a Leatherman multi-tool. This is the first Super T I had, and I got this within the first year I started vaping. I seem to remember the retail price for it was way high. I mean, like 150 quid or something. To appreciate this, you need to hold it. It is rock solid. It's bomb proof. The other mods that were around and at the time were things like the Golden Greek, the GGTS. This wasn't Super T's first mod, incidentally. I know Cat had the original Super 6 mod they did and stuff like this, but this is quite an early one. It's very, very simple in terms of what it did. The thing that you notice with it is the quality of the threads and how securely and surely everything fits together. I mean, it's just perfection. It looks like it's been made by a company that's used to making automotive parts, engine parts and things like that. It is that precise. Pardon the pun, they called it the Precise. It's got this lovely logo, this button design, which when I first got it I thought this was quite good actually, because it's if I take it apart, the actual switch, you'll see it's actually very simple design, but you've got this sort of beveled, what would you call that, recessed part. The idea being that if you stand it on its end, it won't push in far enough to fire, and it doesn't. I can show you that in a second. So you can't fire it like that. You have to do it that way. It kind of works as design. It was a nice idea at the time for a bottom button mod. It was the closest thing to a locking or a safety device on anything at the time that I can think of. There's no electronics in it whatsoever. It's basically a metal tube, and I think this is where a lot of people have a problem justifying the cost. I haven't got an IMR battery in it. Nobody had heard of IMR batteries when they came out with these. And I'll just show you, I put an E-Fest in it at first. I can't just reach it at the moment. But without the protection circuit, it struggles to meet here, and this isn't adjustable. This was in the time when all the 18650s that were out were protected things in blue wrappers and stuff like that. It's gorgeous. I absolutely love it as a device. I stopped using it though when things like tanks started becoming popular, and I'll show you why. When they designed this, they obviously thought, well, let's make this as small and compact as we can. Because 18650 mods were like quite fairly unusual. You certainly wouldn't find them in the mainstream. You had to know where to look to go to get one. They made it as small as they can, and of course it's narrower than what has become the standard sort of 22mm. That's a Kayfen light on top there, and you can see it's too big for that. So you wouldn't want to stand it on there because it's so top heavy that it becomes a bit unwieldy. So that's the only reason I really stopped using this mechanical mod, is because it doesn't fit flush with anything. It still works. I dug it out earlier for this. You see, that's working absolutely fine. It's a mechanical mod, so I can't credit much of the vaping experience to it, other than to say that, you know, it delivers. So what is it people like to say these days? It hits hard, which basically means it's got a clean connection point. So it's a lot of money to part with, or was when this was available. I mean, they've gone on to come up with the Precise Plus since that, which has the little slide part locking mechanism for the button. And I never did get one of those, and I might try before they all disappear, because I've got a feeling that these might become quite hard to get hold of and quite collectible. But basically, the fact that it was too narrow for most tanks and stuff is what stopped me using it. But I think they did try to move to where the market was. This one is... I haven't got the 18650 one. This is the only... this was the first... like I say, I bought this used and got it at quite a good price off classifieds on a forum. This one I bought from actually Keith at Cloud9 Vaping. I haggled with him at Vape Fest a couple of years ago, and this is the 14500 version of the Simplicity. And again, as soon as he handed it me, you knew exactly what he was doing, Keith did, because I had no intention of buying a Super T mod, but he said, "Dave, have a look at that." And he put it in my hand, and I thought, oh, that is gorgeous. And that thing that comes into, you know, like nice knife blades and that locking mechanism and everything, that feeling of quality sort of overcame me, and I gave him cash. It's just wonderful. You can see that it's slightly sort of narrower there. The diameter of it's slightly lower, and there's this, it almost feels like a thread going all the way around it. It's not, it's they're all sort of parallel, the engravings. It just, so it gives it a bit of grip, and it stops it attracting fingerprints. And the button mechanism on this is just that's what sold me on it. I thought, I've got to have it. You just turn that little brass lock and you've got a really solid lock. You turn that up, and it doesn't get stuck, and it doesn't get mis-threaded and cross-threaded. And when you're changing the battery, the threads on it, do you know what? They might be better than the first one I was showing you. They're just absolutely so precisely made. And simplicity is the right word, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't do anything other than provide power to your atomizer. But it does it without fail every time. He says, setting himself up for a fall. I did show this mod once before on VTTV, and I asked people, I said, what atomizer can I get to fit on this? And this is the Doc Dave Mini B. It's a Genesis, a 14500 mod this is. Give you an idea. I'll just compare it to the original 18650 one, and you can see that it's a lot smaller. It's a 14500 IMR battery in there, and it fires. It just never fails you. By the mic, there you go, you can hear that. This thing is just wonderful. You just know you've got a piece of quality in your hand. Is it worth the cost? I think I paid about, it was £100 and something, which is a lot for a 14500. But that's not the atomizer. That cost about the same again. But so it is definitely excessive. It's a luxury for sure. This will still work when I'm long gone, because that's the beauty of these mechanical mods. When they're made well, there's nothing to go wrong on them. And I can't answer the question whether that's worth the asking price. Obviously, in my opinion, it was. So I bought it, and I'm damn glad I did. And just to draw a line under this, I think maybe in an attempt to come up with something that people were prepared to pay for, this is a fairly recent release from Super T. They've got other models as well. There's the Precise Plus, and there's the ELA, and there's and some other lovely looking mods, which are a couple of £100, I think. The ELA. Don't quote me on that price, but this is the workhorse, and at £70, this competes a lot more with some of the smaller run mods that I've got. I mean, I've got other tube mods that I've paid about £70 for, sometimes in excess of that. And I tell you what, even though this is supposed to be a budget mod, you still cannot fault the quality of the threads. I don't know where they've made the saving on it, because it still feels every bit as well made as the Precise here. Just get rid of the battery. The switch on this one, I haven't taken this apart because I have had no need. It's perfect. They've got another mechanism there. It'll stand flat and won't fire perfectly happily. It's kind of like the Simplicity, but it doesn't have the engravings on the side. It's more of a smooth finish. I have to say that for £70, it's absolutely incredible quality, comparatively. If I nab there it is, the Kayfun. Couldn't see where I put it then. You'll see one thing that they've clearly latched onto is the fact that it needed to be 22mm. There you go. Now, I've been messing with this, I'm afraid. I've been messing with the connector. There wasn't a gap there earlier. Oops. They've made it adjustable. Trust me, you can set that up without a gap, but I'm running out of time. I've babbled on enough. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fix it. I'll do it with this multi-tool here. Little screwdriver blade. And I'll just back off that a little, and that'll screw up tighter. And make sure we've got a connection, and that should get rid of that gap with a bit of luck. There we go. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? And this, it arrived midweek, and I've actually had the Kayfun on it, and because I haven't used the Kayfun for a while. But perfect hit every single time, hasn't failed once, no misfires, nothing. And I suppose that's what it boils down to, is you can get mods that do that stuff and a hell of a lot more with electronics, and but even mechanical mods from China now are doing that, and you can get, how many could you get for £70 if you go to the right Chinese websites? So I can kind of understand why this high-end stuff, which let's face it, it's appealing definitely to a niche market. It's people like me, where I just marvel at the quality of threads and stuff like that. The fact is, I think you don't need that quality of threads, because if you can get a mod for 10 or 20 quid, you can have 4 of them for the price of one of these, can't you? Considerably more than that if you go for the ELA and what have you. So I guess that, just to summarise where I'm at on all this, I think it's a crying shame that Super T can't make money at selling e-cig mods anymore. But I understand why. I understand completely. It's a sad fact, but I wonder who's going to be next. But hopefully, not too many. But you can see it. There's a certain inevitability about it all, and it's a real shame. But I wish the guys at Super T all the best with their other business, and a big thank you from me, because I've got some mods here that have given me a lot of pleasure, and I will have, and like I say, they'll outlast me. No doubt about that. And it was nice knowing you guys. I'm going to have to take our second break now, or we're going to be running over. I'll be back straight after this.
LP Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Proud sponsors of vaping entertainment on Vapor Trails TV.
What's in this e-cig cloud? Harmless water vapour, right? Pretty much, yes. Compared to a lit cigarette, it's much safer than smoke. But it contains nicotine, and nicotine on its own isn't toxic and doesn't cause cancer. If you're worried about switching to vapour, here are some facts. No tar, no smoke, no burnt tobacco. Cooking your evening meal produces more toxins than are found in exhaled vapour. Tobacco smoke contains toxins at very high levels, and vapour does not. And that vapour contains 6,000 times less carcinogens than cigarette smoke. Electronic cigarette vapour. There's nothing to be frightened of. The only dangerous electronic cigarette is a banned one.
And welcome back. I was just laughing to myself, chuckling to myself there. I saw a comment in chat, which I wasn't watching, obviously, when I was talking about the Super 2 stuff. But apparently the simplicity of the 14500, apparently the true story, according to Matt, was Matt had it in his hand, at which point Keith took it from him and handed it to me. So sorry about that, Matt, if you were planning on buying it. But, you know, I didn't know that. I was just minding my own business, and Keith saw a sure thing. He knew a sure thing when he saw one and said, "Dave, give me money." I haven't regretted it, even now. Anyway, that is what it is. And I'm glad I've got my Super Ts, and I may even add one or two before they all disappear. I know Cloud9 have still got bits in, so might have to do it. The Super D drip tips I've got, I absolutely love them. In fact, that's a Super D drip tip on my Fagatti. My favourite. There you go. Anyway, right. So we've got 10 minutes or so left, and that's good because I've got at least 3 things that I want to show. The first thing that I want to talk about is a news item that appeared during the week. It actually came from Press Association, so it's probably in a few places, but I'm going to show you a copy of it, an article that appeared in the Economic Times. Under the heading of GlaxoSmithKline's nicotine patches and gum feel the heat from e-cigarettes, which I guess was a play on the heat smoking thing. I don't know, but it doesn't really work with an e-cig, does it, I suppose? But anyway, it reads, London, GlaxoSmithKline is feeling the heat from the rapid growth in electronic cigarettes, with enthusiasm for the nicotine delivery devices dampening sales of the British drug makers' patches and gum, its chief executive said. In an interview with Reuters, Andrew Whitty also said he and his team had spent, quote, a few days exploring whether the drug maker should compete directly by becoming an e-cigarette maker, but had swiftly decided against it. We've decided we're not going to play. Boo-hoo. I added the boo-hoo. We've consciously had to think about it, but we're not going to play, Whitty said. Of course, it's definitely taken a bit of our market, no question at all, but there's a lot of competition in that space anyway. GSK sells various nicotine replacement therapies and smoking cessation products, mainly in the form of patches or gum, including the brands Nicorette, Nicoderm, CQ, and the medicine Zyban. It is in the process of forming a consumer health joint venture with Novartis, whose brands include Nicotine L and some others that you might recognise, I can tell you, making the combined business the market leader in the $3 billion a year smoking cessation market. A study last year found smokers who switched to e-cigarettes to try to kick their habit are more likely to succeed in quitting or cutting down than users of nicotine patches. But the electronic devices, sometimes known as vaporizers because of the vapour they produce, are the subject of fierce debate, with some experts concerned that there may be a gateway to nicotine addiction and tobacco smoking. Whitty said e-cigarettes were, quote, just too controversial for GSK, excuse me while I laugh, to want to get involved in at this stage, adding that there's not enough data to provide robust evidence of the product's risks and benefits. Okay, well, I can tell you that he knows damn well what the benefits are because it's hitting his bottom line. I'm a little surprised that the smoking cessation industry, the smoking cessation market as they call it here, is $3 billion a year. I would have thought it would have been considerably higher, actually. I thought that the NHS spent something like $1 billion on it or something every year, don't they? I don't know. I'm making that number up, but $3 billion, not pounds. I would have thought that the global market for that stuff. Bear in mind, we're talking about GSK here and the partnership with Novartis, so that's two of the world's biggest, the two of the 3 biggest pharma companies in the world are joining up to push their NRT stuff. That says to me that they're taking they're seeing the competition from electronic cigarettes to the stuff they do starting to hurt, and this idea of we're not going to play, sulking sort of attitude, I don't buy that for a minute. So I expect that we're going to hear something from this GSK Novartis joint venture, and I don't think we'll be too long waiting, but expect some new product that's going to be, and they'll market it, it'll be licensed, and it'll be safe. You watch, that's the way they'll go to promote it. They'll say it's safe, and, even though it will have been around for even less time than electronic cigarettes, all of a sudden we'll have certainty on what the long-term effects will be and that kind of crap. So keep your eye on those buggers, because, don't trust them as far as I could throw them. So, but interesting anyway. It's nice to see he's whinging a bit. He obviously didn't want to answer the question, and that's always nice, isn't it, to see a CEO on a spike. What else did we want to look at? Oh yeah. I just one reference in there. I'm not sure which study they're referring to in this, but I'll just flick it back up and highlight this bit. So this isn't attributed to anybody, and you've got to be wary of taking quotes that aren't where the source isn't revealed. But a study last year found smokers who switched to e-cigarettes to try and kick their tobacco habit are more likely to succeed in quitting or cutting down than users of nicotine patches. So, we know that, but it's not that often you hear it. But I want to flick now straight to this thing, because this kind of contradicts that statement that e-cigarettes have been proved to be more effective than patches and NRT. This is a pamphlet. It's supposed to be a pamphlet that's obviously in PDF formatted, all sort of backwards and stuff, the way these things tend to be. But it's been published by the California Department of Public Health. And don't you just love the title of this? Right, protect your family from e-cigarettes. The facts you need to know. Now, you know what's coming, don't you? You know what's coming, but let's do it anyway. Oh dear, let's do it anyway. I'll try not to drag my mouse cable across my keyboard as I do it. There's a little bit here actually, saying what are e-cigarettes, and it starts off and it reads kind of okay, Talks about heated e-liquid creates an aerosol that is breathed into the lungs. They go by other names such as e-cigs, e-hookers, hookah pens, vapes, vape pens or mods. Many shapes and sizes. Some can only be used once, while others can be refilled. Some have tanks which hold large amounts of e-liquid containing nicotine flavourings and other chemicals, blah 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 blah. And then of course this is where the barbs start to kick in. E-cigarettes are also used to smoke illegal substances like marijuana or hash oil. Okay, so we know where they're going with this. Why are they dangerous? This starts, this is on a piece of paper headed the facts you need to know. Why are they dangerous? E-cigarettes contain nicotine and chemicals that can cause cancer, birth defects or other health problems. E-cigarettes and e-liquids come in fruit and candy flavours that appeal to children who may taste or drink the liquid. E-liquids are poisonous if swallowed and are harmful if the liquid gets on skin or the eyes. The e-cigarette batteries are also poisonous if swallowed. Poisonous batteries, for fuck's sake. Aren't they safer than tobacco cigarettes? Yes, no, because they contain harmful chemicals, but not as many as regular cigarettes, apparently. They produce an aerosol, not water. I just can't bring myself to read this out, to be honest with you. It's absolute crap. California Department of Public Health, you're a bunch of tossers. Sue me if you like. Let's get off my screen. Get off my screen. I never want to look at that again. There we go. Done. Let's talk about something more relevant and really fast because I'm running out of time. This comes from the Burnley and Pendle Citizen newspaper, which apparently could be big in Burnley and Pendle. But the story actually is an appalling one. The headline, I'm glad to say, is written pretty much the way I would have written that headline. It says, outrage. East Lancashire NHS chiefs ban smoking at all mental health facilities. And I'm really short of time here, so I'm just going to have to give you some snippets. But the story is that East Lancashire Health Trust, the Lancashire Care NHS Foundation Trust, to be precise, have decided that they're going to ban smoking, and that includes the use of electronic cigarettes, in the grounds of all mental health facilities in East Lancashire. It means patients detained under the Mental Health Act are forced to abstain from smoking during the course of their admission, as they are unable to leave the premises. Their staff don't like it. The patient representative groups don't like it. They're saying that they had support of their staff on an internal staff survey, but apparently they can't produce the results of that, and the staff are disputing that what they actually said. And every comment in this article, at least, and I have to bear in mind I don't know how balanced it is, but there's a number of quotes in this article from people who are saying, you're talking about some of the most vulnerable people here who depend on being able to smoke as a coping strategy, and they will no longer be allowed to smoke or use electronic cigarettes on the grounds. And this includes incarcerated people, people who are effectively imprisoned for mental health issues. Apparently, the process used to be that a nurse would accompany them to the grounds, the gardens of the facility, and they'd be allowed to smoke there. And they're taking all that away, and they are going to offer them NRT as a replacement. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think it's disgusting to start with, but then to extend it all to e-cigs as well. How can an organisation with care in its name, the Lancashire Care NHS Foundation Trust, justify something like this? That's not caring for people, that's just pissing people off for some ideologically stupid reason. So you suck too, just like the Californian Public Health Department. And that's time. It's time for me to bugger off. So I've had a good rant there. So, yeah. So all in all, some really stupid news this week. Super T have decided to pack it in. It can only get better. Quick reminder, next Sunday, the 25th of January, will be the anniversary BBC Vape Meet. Get yourself to Facebook and search for Anniversary Vape Meet, and you'll find details of what's going on near you. You can post questions there if you want to get something going near you. Do something. Do something, because those last 2 pages that we just looked at show there are a lot of idiots out there who need to know we mean business. I'll be back again same time next week. Until then, good night, and thanks for watching. See ya.